We are continuing on Daf Tzadik Hey Amud Aleph, page 95a. Yesterday we spoke about the meeting, the encounter that Rabbi Chia and Rabbi Yossi had with Saba, a soul that came from Gan Eden to teach and to learn. He was telling them that he's a merchant and he has his son, that he sends the son to yeshiva and he needs to support him, which was more of a metaphorical way that he is not really a merchant, rather he is the one who came from Gan Eden, and the son that he is putting in yeshiva is himself. He wants to learn the secrets of the Torah from the rabbis down here, and he was, in other words, coming to see if both Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Chia are in the level to receive his teachings, his secrets. So he was kind of like testing them to see what level they're holding. More than that, we mentioned just that when there was a conversation between the three, the only thing that Rabbi Yossi didn't understand, he understood that he's talking with him very deep secrets of the Torah. The only thing that just didn't resonate very well with him is the fact that he, in one of his riddles, he was mentioning that about a beautiful lady just that doesn't have eyes. And he says, well, if she doesn't have eyes, it means that she's blind, so how can you define her as beautiful? That's the only thing that didn't resonate well with Rabbi Yossi. Other than that, everything he understood, that these are deep secrets from the Torah. And it was Saba that said, I want to teach you based on the pshat, on the psukim that we just read from the Parashat. I want to teach you deep secrets about anything that has to do with reincarnations and souls coming back into the world, the order, how, why, who, when, and what. And this is in very general what we were talking about yesterday. Very humble request if you can turn your phones off. And if you don't mind, if you have questions, write it down or memorize them, keep it to the end. And
You're okay with taking notes?
Yeah, 100%. Just not that the phones will be ding, ding, ding in the middle of the class. It's distracting, and just for the sake of Derech Eretz, other people don't want to be distracted by phones. Same by the comments, questions, and chatting. Tov. We're on page 95a, Tzadik Hey Aleph, in the line where it says, Hashta it lememar. Now is the time to say. What it says, we have learned yesterday and also in the Parashat of Mishpatim about a daughter of a Kohen. And it says, Uvat Kohen, the daughter of a Kohen, Da Nishmat Aila, Barte de Avraham Avinu. When it's talking about the daughter of the Kohen, this is referring to the soul, the high and elevated soul of the daughter of Avraham Avinu. I don't know if you're aware, but Avraham Avinu had a daughter. And, excuse me? Yeah, Avraham Avinu had a daughter. And it's actually, the Midrash says that Avraham Avinu's daughter and Sarah died the same day. Together they died. That's why when it says in the Torah that Avraham Avinu came lispoda velivkota, then both the bet there in the Torah is a very small bet, but it's coming to hint that about the daughter that Avraham Avinu had, and that the fact that they died together, both Sarah and the daughter of Avraham Avinu. But this is the pshat here. Here he's talking about a spiritual daughter of Avraham Avinu. This is the soul, a very high and exalted, very high level soul that is considered the daughter of Avraham Avinu. Shehu ya mushrash bechesed. Avraham Avinu was rooted in the side of chesed. We already learned about it, that Adam HaRishon, his soul was divided in many different souls. And but since Adam HaRishon was such a big soul, in his body, his spiritual body, the souls that compiled the soul of Adam HaRishon were very big souls. So we know, for example, the entire right hand of the soul of Adam HaRishon was the soul of Avraham Avinu. And the soul of Adam HaRishon was in a shape, so to say, in a structure of a human being. So Avraham Avinu was rooted in the side of Chesed. chesed of the partzuf that is called Zeir Anpin in the world of Atzilut, and the Zeir Anpin, that's the side of chesed in the partzuf that is called Zeir Anpin in the world of Atzilut, is also called Kohen. Also, a couple times we find that it's talking about Avraham Avinu, that he was considered a Kohen. Kadama leGiorin. Avraham Arishon was the first ger, the first convert, because the generation of Avraham Avinu, everybody was idol worshippers, and he was the first one that recognized Hashem, recognized his Creator. Ve'ihu mashich la leha nishmata me'atar ilah, and he was able to pull down a soul that is coming from a very, very high place, specifically from the sphera of Da'at. Now comes Saba and he asks, Ma ben kra de'amar uvat ish kohen. What is the difference between the daughter, that is the daughter of the man that is a Kohen, uven kra de'amar bat kohen, and between the kra means what it says in the verse, between a daughter of just a daughter of a Kohen. We have here two scripts. One of them you can find in Parashat Vayikra, in the book of Vayikra, specifically in chapter 21, and it says Uvat Ish Kohen. So we see here that there's a place in the book of Vayikra that it says, and the daughter of a man Kohen. So Saba is asking, what's the difference between the verse in Parashat Mishpatim that it says Bat Kohen, the daughter of a Kohen, and the verse in the book of Vayikra where it says daughter Bat Ish Kohen, the daughter of a man Kohen. What's the difference? So he's asking a question and he right away answers. Ela it Kohen de Ikri Ish, the Itri Ish Kohen, velo Kohen Mamash. What does it mean? There is a Kohen that is rooted in the sphera of the Yesod, and this is called a man that is a Kohen, like Avraham Avinu. He wasn't really a Kohen, but he was called a Kohen. And this person is called a Kohen. The Ramak says, Shesham makom ha'ishut, Sham yordim ha'hei chasadim be'et ha'zivug, v'achesed nikra Kohen. The Ramak gives here an interesting commentary, and he says that when it says Ish Kohen, it's referring to the time when the husband and wife are having marital relations. At the same moment, if they're having it in a holy way, is happening a zivug, unity in the world above. Where exactly in the world above? Specifically in the tzfirot that is called Zeir Anpin, which means that when a man and a woman are having marital relations in a kosher way, then something very positive is happening in the world above, because the unity is holy. Then there's a unity in the world above between the sphirot. What does it mean for us that there's a unity between the sphirot? Nothing, because we'll never understand what it means that there's unity in the sphirot. But we know there's something good going on there, because the same way in the world below, that when there's unity between a husband and wife, then spiritually, emotionally, there's love and affection, and physically comes a baby, comes a child, comes another generation. Same thing with the midot in the world above. When there's a yichud, a unity in the midot above, it births neshamot, comes neshamot. And specifically at this time, at the time of the unity in the world above, there's a concept that is called 5 chasadim. We find there are 5 gvorot, 5 chasadim. It's not the time to explain now what it means, the 5 chasadim, but specifically at the time of unity in the world above, these 5 chasadim are coming down to the world below, and this is called chesed kohen, the chesed of a kohen, because it's coming specifically from the sphere of chesed. But it's not referring to really a kohen, rather it's a ish kohen, a person that is so to say, similar to Kohen, but it doesn't mean a Kohen as a priest, rather Kohen coming from the sphere of Chesed. Ve'eno bechesed mamash kestam Kohen. It's just that soul is coming from the sphere of Chesed, and it's not a real Kohen, a Kohen that serves in the Beit HaMikdash. Ve'amar, and then he continues, Ve'al ar chada hava ish kohen, and for that way we said that there is the man, the Rekoim Kohen, he has yesh lo shem livui ve'eno kohen stam. This has a specific name, but it's not like a real, an actual Kohen. Ve'hava segan, this is like this person has like I don't have to call it a deputy, but like you have a president and you have a vice president. How would you call the person who's like the second to somebody? It's called also a vice? Yeah, not a deputy?
Both.
What? Both? So a person, it says that the person, he's a Ish Kohen, meaning a very important man. Also, if you remember, it says about Yitro that it was a Kohen. And Yitro was not even a Jew when he was called Kohen Midian. Why was he called the Kohen of Midian? It's referring to an important man, a figure, so forth. It says that this individual has a vice, a deputy. In the same way, כמו כן יש סגן שיש לו שם לוי, שנקרא סגן הכהן. The same way that there's a person that is the vice, that is called the vice Kohen. Vehu bebina, and that specific individual is rooted in the sphere of Bina. V'hava Kohen Gadol, and then there's a real Kohen, that is a Kohen Gadol, an actual Kohen. And he also has a vice. But the Kohen Gadol is rooted from Abba ve'ima, Chochma and Bina. V'hava Kohen delav ihu Gadol, and there's also a Kohen that is not a Kohen Gadol. There's a Kohen Gadol, a high priest, and Kohen that is not. הוא כהן האחר שמתקנים בערב יום הכיפורים תחת הכהן גדול, and this is another type of a Kohen that is being there as a backup in case something happens to the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippurim. I mean, the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippurim goes to Kodesh HaKodeshim, to the Holies of Holies, and they tie a rope to his leg that maybe does something wrong and he will die in there. Even if he has a thought that is not even an inappropriate thought, even a stam mundane thought, he's just thinking about, I don't know what, Mickey Mouse, and then he dies. And they know if the Kohen doesn't come after a while, then they pull the rope out. Obviously he didn't make it. So there's always backup Kohanim. Or, not only that, sometimes could be that the Kohen can be found not qualified to go into the Kodesh HaKodeshim. They find what's called a pasul in him. Maybe, something happened during the week. The whole week he's separated from his wife. He has to be guarded, clean, and so forth. But nevertheless, this Kohen that we're referring to, Vehu bechokhma, rooted from the sphere of Chokhmah. Now, Saba continues and says, Kohen stam Rav ve'ila'a yatir mish Kohen. This Kohen stam that he's talking to, the Kohen stam means it's not a Kohen Gadol. He's a real Kohen, but he's not a Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol is coming from Chokhmah, the Kohen stam comes from Bina, and the Kohen that is just called a Kohen, Ish Kohen, is coming from Chesed. This is where the Neshama is rooted from. It says, but Kohen stam, a regular Kohen, ve'ila yatir mish Kohen, is higher than a regular Kohen that is rooted, vehu b'chesed, that is rooted in the sphere of Chesed. Therefore, the Kohen, the real Kohen, is higher than the man that is just called a Ish Kohen. Now, a Ish Kohen can be rooted from Chesed, but he also says you can also be rooted in the sphere of Yesod. But if it's already rooted b'malchut, ach b'malchut she'hi b'chinat nukba, en ba b'chinat kohanim. Malchut, since it's in a concept of a female, nukba is a receiver, and there's no kohanim there. There's no concept of a kohanim there. Therefore, ki en avodat bet hamikdash b'nashim. Therefore, we see that there is no such a thing as a woman kohen, and there's no service of woman kohanim. Somebody asked me today, interesting, somebody, mamash today, sent me a message, can a bat kohen, a daughter of a kohen, go into a cemetery? So I said, yeah, no problem. So he was wondering, how come a Kohen can't go into the cemetery and a Bat Kohen can go into the cemetery? So I told him, because the Kohen, the male, was warned from not to be pure. It says, Daber el Aaron uvanav le'emor. It doesn't say uvanav uvnotav. It says to Aaron and his boys. So the males are warned not to be impure by the impurity of death. But the daughters are not born, therefore they can go in, no problem. And then he continued and asking me, so if this is the case, I'm just asking you, can a Bat Kohen marry an Israelite? And she's divorced. So I said, well, it's the other way around that they can marry, but if the Bat Kohen is divorced, she can marry an Israeli, but there's conditions here. And the condition is that the Israelites, I'm talking about an Israel, not somebody who lives in Israel. He told me, yeah, I'm a citizen of Israel. I told him it has nothing to do with being a citizen from Israel. Israel, you have a Kohen, you have a Levi in Israel. So I told him, yeah, you can marry her, but there's a condition in Halakha that you have to pray 3 times a day, and you have to likvo itim la Torah. You have to have set times that you learn Torah, that you're not going to be considered an Am Haaretz. And if you're an Am Haaretz, you can marry her. But if you knowingly, what's called everybody sees, that you pray in a minyan 3 times a day, and you set time for Torah, and you present yourself as a person who's not an Am Haaretz, and you can marry her, no problem. But nevertheless, here is explaining to us more mystically that the Kohanim are rooted, the real Kohanim are in Chochmah and Bina. The Kohen, what's called the Stam Kohen, it's a person that can be a leader or a great man, is called a Stam Kohen. But that can only come also, the Stam Kohen can come from the sphere of Chesed or the sphere of Yesod, but not from Malchut, because Malchut is female. Therefore we see that the female Kohanim, the females who are daughters of Kohanim, they don't serve in the holy temple. Valda, and for that, כמו שיש כמה מדרגות בכהנים, the same way that there's a few levels in כהנים, כן, יש כמה מדרגות בנשמה הנקראת בת כהן. And there's a few levels in the neshamot that are called bat kohen. Meaning, it nishmata mibina, ve'it rucha miziranpin, ve'it nefesh mimalchut. What does it mean? The soul comes from bina, the ruach will come from ziranpin, ve'nefesh, and the nefesh will come from malchut. Needless to say, it's all talking about the world of Atzilut. So again, he's taking a pasuk from the Torah and explaining it a little bit more deeper. Now he continues to explain the verse that we started by saying, Uvat Kohen ki tiyeh leish zar, a daughter of a Kohen that should come in contact with a foreign man. Foreign man here is not explaining if it's referring to an Israelite or to a non-Jew. But nevertheless, here is anyways talking about more mystical part of it. He explains, Da nishmata kadisha ditmashchat me'atar ilah. This is a holy soul that came from a very high place, meaning from the sphere of Bina. Ve'alat lego setimu deilana dechayen. And this holy soul, this high soul, comes and gets dressed in the inner part of the tree of life, Etz HaChaim. That Etz HaChaim is Chesed of Zir Anpin. From the Sfirot of the world of Malchut, Chesed is, from the Zir Anpin, is considered the tree of life. Now, he's going to continue and he's going to explain the order of the Neshama, of the soul, and he says, V'cha adrucha dechahana ila nashva, when the soul, the Ruach of the Kohen HaGadol, which is coming from Bina, when the Ruach, so to say, blows, because Ruach, we're referring to the second level of the Neshama, but the Ruach is also wind, and the Ruach is a way of explaining that the Ruach is blowing. Now what happens when the wind blows, and the leaves on the tree, they start moving. Here we're referring to, for the Ruach, the spirit, the part of the Neshama, so to say, blowing, V'yahiv nishmatin be'ilana da. And it gives souls in this tree that we're referring to, the tree of life. Basically saying, in other words, that noten et hachesed v'gvura l'zir anpin, shemehem noladot haneshamot. They're making a unity between the chesed and the gvura of the world of Atzilut, and you know what happens from that? It births souls, brings souls to the world. Parchin mitaman inu nishmatin ve'alain ba'otzar chad. Then these souls go out from the Zir Anpin and they take off, so to say, And now this all happens at the time of the unity, and they go into the one chamber, that this is, so to say, the stomach, or the not the womb, Ma'ayan. Ma'ayan is intestines, because the same way that we have spiritual, physical organs, there's the exact same organs in the world above. Needless to say, they don't resemble them, but they have the same effect. The reason why we have physical organs is because we have the same exact spiritual organs. If we have lungs, and the job of the lungs is to inhale, exhale, to take the air, take the actual gas, I don't know how you said it in English, the H2O, you say? And then it's, I'm not going to start explaining now the whole biological effect, but how it absorbs it and then spits out the carbon monoxide and so forth. The same way that the lungs has a certain job in this world, the spiritual lungs, that they do the exact same thing in the spiritual world. That's why when it manifests into this world, it's structured in a certain way. So the same way that we have a liver and so forth, so there are also intestines. And the intestines, the spiritual intestines, are placed in the sphere of Malchut. And all these souls that are created from the unity of Chesed and Gvura, they go out and they get placed in, so to say, the intestines of the sphere of Malchut. Now, Saba stops in the middle of what he's explaining, and he says, Vai le'alma, po wo, oy oy oy, this world, de la yadin b'ninashel istamra, that these humans don't know to be careful. That they're able to pull, so to say, a garment of a soul while they're having marital relations, but they can pull a soul with the Yetzer Hara, that the Yetzer Hara that is coming from the klipa of Noga, it's called Ish Zar, a foreign man, a foreign person. Basically saying, in other words, when the marital relation is done in Kedusha, in holiness, and it's done, like we mentioned a few days ago, on Friday night, then they're pulling a neshama from the world of Atzilut. If it's done during the week, but still in holiness, then we'll pull a neshama from lower worlds, from Bria, Tzira, and Asiyah. But if Chas v'Shalom it's done not the right way, then they pull a neshama from the klipa. And now the garments of this neshama will be garments of very dirty, so to say, or impure garments. And then the poor person is born with these dirty garments that, needless to say, will cause the person to have bad midot, bad attributes, very big yetzer hara, dislike to the Torah and mitzvot, and needless to say, to do mitzvah is 10 times harder. But nevertheless, this yetzer hara that it's referring to, it's called Ish Zar, a foreign man. Saying, in other words, כי כל הנשמות הבאות לעולם הזה צריכות להתלבש בלבוש אחד הנקרא צלם. All the souls that come into this world, because there's many souls, there's more souls in the world above than souls in the world below. I mean, this is not such a hard place to come here. This is not like the paradise, the Cancun of the universe. Souls are not in such a rush to come down here. But any soul that wants to come down into this world, he has to get dressed in a certain garment, and this garment is called tzelem. Tzelem is like an image, like we read in Sefer Bereshit, "B'tzelem Elokim nivra Adam." In the image of God, man was created. But tzelem, this is like an image. Some may call it an aura. As it says, "Ach b'tzelem italech ish." As it says in the tzelem, a man will be, so to say, walking in this world. וזה הצלם נמשך מקליפת נוגה. And this tzelem is being pulled down, it's rooted, it's birthed from klipat noga. What does that mean? That it's mixed, some good, some bad. והוא סוד היצר הטוב והיצר רע שבאדם, and this is where it's rooted, the secret of the יצר טוב and the יצר הרע. ואם האב והאם מהרהרים אירועים רעים בעת ייחודם. Now what happens if the parents, having not pure thoughts while they're having marital relations, You know, it can happen sometimes that the thoughts are not so pure. אז גורמים להמשיך לבוש לנשמת הוולד מהרע שבנוגה. Now what happens if the parents are not thinking pure things? Really, the parents have to think of many other things but the things that are impure. Then if they're thinking of impure things, then they're pulling the tselem will come from the negative part of Klipat Noga. Now he continues Saba and he says, V'hai bat kohen parchat letata. And this is the soul that is called the daughter of the Kohen, that it ascends down. Ashkechad binyana beish zar. And then it finds, so to say, its other half. Binyana means the building. But one can interpret it as when a couple gets married, we wish them that they should have a binyana deyad, eternal structure or eternal building. But also when it says binyana, is the levush, is the garment that the soul will get dressed in, and this garment will be in a ish zar, in a negative side of klipat noga, because the soul has to be dressed in levushim, in garments. The soul is way too holy to operate in this world. If a soul wants to come down to this world, even a soul of a tzaddik, it has to be dressed into something, whether it's garments or at least in the minimum in a body. Other than that, the soul, when we're saying here soul, we're referring about the level of the soul that is called neshama, not ruach and nefesh. But nevertheless, before it gets even dressed into garments, the neshama has to get dressed into a ruach and get dressed into a nefesh, and then we'll get dressed in garments. Kind of to explain it so we can relate with it. Imagine now a person is going to whatever, some research or whatever they want to do in Antarctica. They can't just go like this. They have to wear, an outfit, and over the outfit another outfit, and over that another special outfit that they can sustain the cold and the weather, and then they can work outside in minus 50 degrees. Same thing here. The soul gets dressed into one garment, to another garment, in order for it to operate in this world. I think would be a better example to say an astronaut. Take a human, put him in the space right now, he won't be able to survive 1 second. First of all, the temperature, the pressure of the air, there's no air, and so it needs to be in this huge balloon, this astronaut's gear, and has a big balloon on the head, and so forth. So, and then you see like a little astronaut fixing a satellite in space. Sometimes you see these beautiful videos from NASA. You see a satellite just hovering in space and an astronaut fixing it. The same idea, the soul has to come down to the world. It can relate with the world. It doesn't know how to speak. It doesn't know how to hear things. It doesn't know how to translate voices and sounds. And so it has to get dressed in a ruach, that gets dressed in a nefesh, and that gets dressed in garments. So here it's referring to that the neshama will come down to the world below, and it will look for a garment where to get dressed, and it will dress specifically in a garment coming from the evil side of Noga. And that's why it says in the verse, Uvat Kohen, Shia Neshama, the daughter of the Kohen, referring to the soul, Ki tiyeh pirush titlabesh leish zar, that the soul that is coming, a daughter of the Kohen, coming from the unity, since it's talking about Ish Kohen, it's coming from the unity of the Zir Anpin. It has to be dressed in a garment, that the garment is called Ish Zar, a foreign man, and this is also referring to the levush that is called the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. Uvegin deihu reuta demara, and since this is the will of the master of the universe to come down to the world, nobody is asking you if you want to come or not. There's a Mishnah in Tractate Avot that says, "Val karchach ata nolad, val karchach ata met, val karchach." Nobody's asking you. Hashem takes the neshama and puts it into a body. Since it's the will of Hashem for the neshama to come down to the world, as our sages says, "Be'al korchach ata nolad," without any of saying, you have no say here or no call here. They're putting you into a body. Alat taman ve'it kefiat ve'lai. Then it gets dressed into this garment, but it's, so to say, gets subdued. It's forced and gets subdued in front of the Yetzer Hara. And the Yetzer Hara, and it doesn't have any control, so to say, in order to serve the will of Hashem. And then the person will born with a huge Yetzer Hara, doesn't want to serve the master of the universe. You know, many people who are even observant go now to any yeshiva, and I can guarantee to you they have the students, that doesn't interest them even. I get so many calls from parents telling me, my son is having a bar mitzvah in 2 weeks, he doesn't want to put tefillin on. My son is this, my son is that. I mean, I go to yeshivas to speak, yeshivas and schools. Half of them, they're not even interested in the Torah. They might be wearing the clothes because of it's the uniform, and that's what the parents say. They have zero interest in the Torah. They don't believe in anything. So this can happen to anyone. So this soul will not have any control against the Yetzer Hara in order to fulfill the will of Hashem. And then the soul cannot really keep up with the order of the learning Torah and performing the mitzvot in this world. So this is kind of a hint when you see a certain individual, the child, that's the path they're going on, then you can kind of figure out what was the parents thinking about at the time of the marital relations, because they dressed the neshama already with a big klipa coming from the evil side of Noga, so they have a very big Yetzer Hara when it comes to Torah and mitzvot. Therefore, and again, this is not 100%. I know I'm going to get some angry parents now telling me why you're saying that. But listen, nothing's black and white. We're just giving some analogies. And the majority is that if they see a problem with the child, backtrack to where it came from. But again, nothing's black and white. I know many very good parents and still get a child with a lot of difficulties. So there's always the exception to the rules. But I told you already that many times couples will come and talk to me, consult with me about marital shlom bayit, not marital relations, rather the marital relationship and issues with the kids and so forth. And when it comes to shlom bayit, we talked about it already last week or 2 weeks before, that the first question is if they're even married. Because the majority of them are not even married halachically. They might be married for 20, 30, 40 years, but they're not halachically married. And if they're not halachically married, then it means that every time they're together physically, intimately, they're doing a very big sin. Needless to say, that will cause a lot of shlom bayit issues, a lot of friction. And a lot of people don't know that or not aware of that. But we talked about it already, that easily, without even arguing too much, the majority of the marriages in the North America are not real marriages. Because the witnesses are not kosher, the rabbi is a female, the ceremony is not done the right way, and many other issues. And then the wedding is not a real wedding. And it will cause marital problems in relationships, and then of course start affecting the kids. Because the kids were born into a very harsh state of impurity. Needless to say, if it's another observant couple, then the woman is never in the mikveh, that puts even more impurity on the child, and all these little problems, big problems, that a lot of people don't take to consideration that, and causes a lot of issues. So when you want to kind of pinpoint the problem, you backtrack. Let's see how far it goes. Needless to say, that many couples might be halachically married, but maybe we're not so modest or careful with touching each other before the wedding, which will cause more problems. But nevertheless, the soul that will come down will be the one who's suffering the fault here, having a big challenge with Torah and mitzvot. Kad nafkat mineh. Now, what happens to that soul that leaves the body? While it's still the body, good. So it had a hard life. Hard life meaning in respect to when it comes to Torah and mitzvot. I'm sure you all have encounters with people when you come and tell them, come to a Shabbat meal, come to my little seder, put tefillin on, and brush you off. They don't want to hear about it. So they have a very strong anti, so to say, for Torah and mitzvot. But what happens to that soul when it goes out of the body, when it dies. He betrumat hakodshim lo tochel. He's taking the verse from the Parashat that says, Uvat kohen ki tieh leish zar, a daughter of a kohen that should be for a foreign man, an ish zar. He betrumat hakodashim, when it comes to the truma, to the contribution of kodashim, which is a certain type of sacrifice, lo tochel. She can't eat from it. Saying in other words, she'ena nichneset afilu b'malchut hanikret truma. This soul will not even be able to enter into the sphira of malchut. That malchut is called truma, a contribution. So what does it really mean? She'ena mekabelet sachar shel mazon u'ma'achal haneshamot le'enot miziv hashchina. That soul will not be able to enter into Gan Eden. The malchut is Gan Eden. And what happens in Gan Eden? The souls are being fed spiritual food. What is this spiritual food? Is the rays of the Shekhinah. And the soul needs this shine, so to say, from the Shekhinah. And if the soul doesn't have that, it causes a lot of suffering for the soul. There is many interpretations. What is the difference between Gan Eden and Gehenom? Many say the Gehenom is not what they explain in books, fire and barbecues and all that. It's just that you don't have any connection to Hashem. You are not close to the Shekhinah. Needless to say, that will cause a lot of suffering. I can tell you from my personal experience that I was feeling the feeling like of suffocation. The whole time I was feeling this horrible feeling which became in a form of pain of suffocating. And at some point I understood that the suffocation that I'm feeling is that I don't have connection to Hashem. Like a person that can breathe. Now try to breathe, not breathe for 20 seconds, you'll do it. Let's see you not breathe for 3 minutes. Or chas v'shalom, a person being choked, and after a couple of seconds, it's the same thing with the soul. The soul doesn't have connection to Hashem, it chokes. And this is the food, so to say, that the souls are getting in the sphere of Malchut. And this is the shine, so to say, what's called Ziv HaShechina. It's not even seeing the actual Shechina, it's just the shine of it. Right now, we don't see the sun. I mean, now it's evening, but during the day, you don't see the sun. What do you see? You see the rays of the sun. And you don't even see the rays of the sun. You see the shine or the enlightenment, the he'ara of the rays of the sun. The sun is somewhere in the sky, but I don't see the sun. Same thing here. The souls don't see the Shekhinah. They just see this ray, and that obviously gives them an unbelievable pleasure that we could never understand. What does it mean, this pleasure in Gan Eden? And all this, why? Because of the parents. Because of the parents, by bad thoughts that they had together while they were having marital relations. And all the rest of the souls that at least they did a tikkun in this world, then at least what happens? Sholot lefachot b'malchut. A soul that gets a rectification in this world doesn't necessarily mean the full rectification, or that it did mitzvot or gained a lot of Torah, but at least gets a little tikkun, some type of a rectification for the neshama to go into, to start scratching the door of Gan Eden. So this is the minimum of the minimum. But chas v'shalom, a person doesn't have any connection to the Torah, how will that person go into Gan Eden with that? Tough. I think we're going to finish here, because the next part is a little bit long. But just to conclude, it's talking about different places, levels where the souls come from. Most of the souls, they come from the Zir Anpin of the world of Atzilut. That's where they're rooted, because our souls are coming probably from the world of Asiyah. I doubt that any one of our souls are coming from the world of Atzilut. But nevertheless, they are rooted there. And the root means that if I have a great-great-great-great-grandfather who was a tzaddik, then they call it a zchut avot. I have a merit because my great-great-grandfather was a tzaddik. Doesn't mean I'm a tzaddik. I know many tzaddikim that their son or their grandson or their great-grandson is a big problem maker. But nevertheless, he's rooted from a very high level soul. Same thing here. All of us are rooted from the world of Atzilut. There's no question here. But it all depends how far up the branch goes. We're coming from a much lower level because we're like already a soul after too many multiplications of the souls, and we're already coming from a much lower level, which doesn't mean we're bad or that we're less good than anybody else. It's just that where we came from. One person comes from Tel Aviv, another person comes from Yerushalayim, another person comes from New York, and another person comes from Los Angeles. And you can't make a competition who's better because the city you came from has nothing to do with where you came from. So, but we're all rooted in the world of Atzilut. Most of the souls are coming from the Chesed, and the majority of the rest will be from the Zeir Anpin. Here it's referring to, it's constantly, Zohar is very, very particular to anything that has to do with marital relations. Because this is really the connection or the foundation of everything that goes into this world. That's why specifically in that department there's the biggest Yetzer Hara. For all generations. It's not that our generation is the most corrupt. Even 2,000 years ago, even 4,000 years ago, and any generation, the biggest Yetzer Hara was in marital relations. Whether it's between the same gender, not the same gender, married, not married, whatever it is. This is nothing to argue about. This is the biggest Yetzer Hara everybody has, every place, anywhere. Why? Because the most Kedusha is hidden there. So when there's most Kedusha, there will be the most attack of the Yetzer Hara. The Zohar is very particular about that, because Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai saw in his holy level that most of the corruption of the world is coming from that. When Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai came out of the cave, he looked around, everything that he looked at started going on fire. At some point, Hashem says, well, you came out of the cave to destroy my world, go back to the cave. And he went into the cave for another year. But Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was so pure and such a high level, he couldn't see anything that is not holy. And anything that he would look at, right away will go on fire. And he saw that the majority of the corruption of the world is coming specifically with how the child is being conceived. So you see that we find so many places in the Zohar how it's so particular specifically on that. Basically saying, in other words, be loose or reckless or not so strict in anything else, but in the bedroom, be the chief rabbi of the world. Don't play with that. Go the most extreme there. Why? Because you are affecting the world above. B, the soul, that poor soul that you're bringing into the world, you are dressing it with junk. I can take now my kids to the store here and buy them clothes for Pesach. I mean, that's what they want now. Take me to buy me nice clothes for Pesach. I want to have a nice new shirt, new shoes, whatever. I can take them to a cheap store and buy them stuff that is not their size, maybe used clothes, all dirty and disgusting. Or I can take them to a normal store and buy them nice clothes. Same thing here. I'm dressing my kids with garments, and then parents have the chutzpah to complain the kids are driving them crazy. Well, you just dressed the child with these impure garments. Yeah, where you have a place to complain even. Needless to say, what we want to take practically from that is, besides what we want to think of how to have marital relations. I mean, not everybody is already in that occupied in that department, but nevertheless, even if you're not, then the importance is to see a person that is not observant. How important it is to get that person to have some type of connection to the Torah. Because that soul that doesn't have any connection to the Torah will go up to Shamayim and they'll tell that soul, you cannot come into the sphere of Malchut to enjoy some food, spiritual food. What is this soul going to do? Where is it going to be? So we have an obligation. When you see a person that is far away from the Torah, just know it's not his fault. Most of, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4% you can say it's their fault. The majority, they're not. It's not their fault. You know that most of the Rabbanim in our generation and in the generations before, going at least 67 years back, all the great Rabbanim of all groups are all one mouth, one pechad. They're all paskin that the people who are not observant that Tinok Shenishba. There's no question here. that they're like a baby that was captured between the nations. What the Talmud is talking about, that a child that is being captured between the nations doesn't know anything. What do you want from me? Then he's not obligated to doing anything. So everybody agrees that in our generation, a person that is born in the middle of nowhere, he's a tinok shenishba. It's our responsibility to go into to educate that person, and even if we can't convince that person to become observant, because you can't. There's no such a thing that you can convince somebody to become observant. It doesn't work like that. The person wants to do it. But you can help a little bit. Invite the person to a Shabbat meal, to a Leil Seder, put tefillin on them, give them candles to light up, whatever it is. So it's important how we see our fellow souls, because a lot of people say, what does that have to do with me and that person? I don't even know them. You might not know their body, but there's a very good chance, there's a good connection between your souls. And by you saving that person, there's no greater comfort and reward when Hashem sees you going out of your way to save one of His kids. Hashem will go out of His way. He says, you going to save one of my kids? Spiritually, I'll do the same thing for you and for your kids. So needless to say, what a great level it is for a person going to bring somebody back home. But needless to say, you might have a very strong connection with that person that will affect you, the fact that you're making them add a few more mitzvot. Because at the end of the day, we're one big package at the end of the day. Zad Hashem will continue tomorrow. Like I told you before, it's a long ma'amar. Till we're going very, very slow, but till we get to the depth of it, will take some time, but we have to hold our head up high. Bezrat Hashem. רבי חנניה בן הקשה אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, לפיכך הרבה להם תורה ומצוות, שנאמר, אדוני חפץ למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה ויאדיר.